Got a question for everyone. When I say Roger Corman, what comes to mind? Some people are going to say low budget, others are going to say Vincent Poe adaptations, some will even say Little Shop of Horrors with the singing plant. Well, King of the Drive-In, of course, we are talking today about Jackson County Jail. That's what I say. Um, Advertising executive Dinah Hunter, played by Yvette Mimo, the Time Machine, leaves a promising career in Los Angeles to start a new life in New York City. She heads east on a long cross-country drive that becomes a nightmare after she picks up some hitchhikers and finds herself beaten up and stranded in a small town, then is thrown in the jailhouse on vagrancy charges. Dinah finds herself at the mercy of some bad cops, but finds a way to escape with another pioneer, Coley Blake, Tommy Lee Jones, Rolling Thunder. Now the two embark on a wild car chase with the police, also starring Robert Carradine, Howard Hessman, and Mary Woronov of Death Race 2000. A little advert here that says, the movie stars the young Tommy Lee Jones in this kind of role that is his trademark. In this controversial and action-packed story, Tommy Lee Jones plays an outlaw on the run with more integrity and certainly more cool than the society that condemned him. He is so unnervingly convincing and commanding that it doesn't even seem to be a performance. This is also teamed with Cage T, which I will review. But right now, this is an interesting one. I was surprised it's not a pretty movie. It shows that there are some corrupt officials out there. I'm not going to say anything about it. Most of them just want to just do their job, but unfortunately there is some systemic stuff going on. You cannot deny that. And this one here in the 1970s portrays it. And I'm like, geez, this is just not pretty. I mean, it's like, when she's inside the jail cell, it's like all of a sudden out comes this cop who just wants, this crooked, corrupt cop who wants to have his way with her right there in the jail cell. And it's like, she just gotta withstand it. And it's just not pretty. You just look at it, and it's like you see the detail and everything else. I mean, this is a freaking. It's just for that scene alone. It's just rated R, and it's like, ooh, yeah. I mean, just the grittiness of wherever they're at in California or Nevada or something like that, and it's just, I don't know, man. It disturbed me. It's like, when they go on the road, yes, they do have the car chases and everything like that. It's stuff that you've seen before. I mean, this is a B movie, but given the controversial subject, you do pay attention. I mean, it's like you pay attention. It's like some of the scenes that stood out was obviously, like in the beginning when they have like this. What was that? Towels for women or something like that. But it was provocative because a woman was riding a horse. And they said, yeah, that's too provocative. I'm like, what about it? It's like, so she ultimately decides, like, hey, I'm tired of kind of like the stuffy atmosphere. I want to travel. I want to relocate to New York City, but and she does get robbed at gunpoint, and it's just absolutely like, yeah, it's gritty, it's real, and when they show what happened, like, doesn't have an identification because two a-holes robbed her, so she's got to stay there until they can confirm her identity. But one comes in the assaults by both the bartender and one of the corrupt officials. It's like, it just doesn't feel right. And then you have Tommy Lee Jones who's witnessing it, but he can't do anything. And he's going on and stating like what the difference is between a criminal and the society that placed him in there, saying, hey, you have to conform to our standards and not anyone else's. And this is a pre-fugitive movie Tommy Lee Jones in 1976 compared to 1997, I think it came out or whatever, and of course pre-Men in Black. So this was interesting. It was this kind of cool, that came out with like James Dean and Elvis and everyone else. It's like this was the beginning of his, I guess, I don't want to say counterculture identity would be the phrase for it. And he doesn't take any crud. They go around just having their way, trying to just survive, but pretty much just taking the lives, or the phrase goes, unaliving a bunch of people. And it's just intense to look at. I mean, I'm just looking at this like, yeah, this is definitely, it is definitely his way of like getting onto the big screen, being the next big cool guy, kind of like how Steve McQueen was. This is his, arguably one of his earlier roles, but he's got the beard, he's got the attitude. Those two do form a relationship, not exactly like lovers or anything like that, but again, displaying about like the differences of how they were brought up with her being not necessarily pampered, but what could have been a promising career versus how he was in his life, and ultimately towards the end, what occurs in a parade shootout. Yes, it was like we're going. It's like there was a license plate that said a local politician made me better, and like they're celebrating the country and everything. And it's like you got George Washington, you got the streamers, you got the banners, you have all, I guess you can call it the window dressing. That's great and all. But then eventually, I forgot like what the banner was at the absolute end. But when finally they catch up with him, he collapses to the ground, has a bullet through him, and on the left side, to his side is an American flag, and then right below him is a word that says "stop." So you can pretty much figure out what's going on there. So, and ultimately Dinah gets her shoulder gets shot and she's wounded. So we just get to see all the symbolism and everything. It's like, yes, America's a great country. There's also a lot of crap going on too, and this movie is in your face. This ran on CBS. Apparently, it did receive some positive fanfare. Enough, it's like enough to warrant a miniseries, I think, starring Dinah herself, and they're going to mention they're going to mention Jones's character, but ultimately it didn't pan out for whatever reason. So there's that. This was part of a drive-in, like, a little obsession, I guess, where like the movie, like you would have like a movie theater being a part of it or something like that. This is along with The Legend of Boggy Creek, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and The Town That Feared Sundown. The Town That Feared Sundown. Like, suppose this was like, hey, maybe all these events take place, but they are completely fictionalized. But there is some elements of truth, or at least showing some of the more not that great sides of life. Let's just say that. And this is one such example. The only one that's actually really took place that has been authenticated was the what was that? The Phantom Killers in Texas, Arkansas in the 1940s. I don't know too much about that, but it's interesting. It was just interesting to see where Tommy Lee Jones got his start, how he still has a 1,600-acre ranch and everything else. And Yvette would eventually, she started like in the 1960s and 70s movies, and ultimately, before she died in 2022, owned a bunch of like apartment complexes with her husband. So there's that. So do I recommend this? I actually do, just to see where Tommy Lee Jones got his cool guy start, and just to see the kind of I want to say seedy underbelly would be the word. So yeah, so with that in mind, of course it's still a B movie, so low budget obviously, but It's low budget. Performances are fine for what it is. So yeah. So for I do recommend you at least check out Roger Corman / New World Pictures Jackson County Jail.